All right, peace and much love, Zin Uru here. Welcome to the latest message from the Minista. This week's message from the Minista is Character is King. Character is King. Character is King. And I want to welcome y'all here. I just can't wait to get into this message this week. Just thinking about this for the last few days, what the word character is. Wait. First off, welcome everybody who's coming in. Welcome everybody who's coming in. You can see I'm excited about this week's message. But there is no such thing as time and space. Across all time and space, here we are in this same place. And what I want to say to my nobility right now is welcome here. Let's all just tune in to our warm hearts. Let's think about the others who are in this room too, in spirit. Let's think about how far forward in the future they are and where they may be on earth. And as we tune into one another and we become conscious of one another, let's tune into our own warm hearts. And as we're tuning into our own warm hearts, let's feel the warm hearts of all of us tuning into our warm heart right now at this moment. And in this moment and in this space, we feel, we know, we see God's grace and God's presence and God's divine protection. And we just take this moment to acknowledge God for the protection that we do not see in our lives. All day, certain things go on in our lives and we're not even aware of the protection that we've received. Now, oftentimes, we might feel that we're late to something. There's an accident before us, and somehow, when we left that house late that day, we forgot our wallet inside and we had to go running back inside. But just that minute that it took to go get the wallet stopped us at a traffic light. And then that traffic light put us behind a big rig. And then that big rig was going slow. And then we get behind an accident. The accident had already happened. But had we left a minute earlier, that could have been us who was in that accident. Or the same thing. We might be getting and we just leave just right in time. And the accident happens behind us and we never see it. So in the first case, that's the protection that we see. The accident happened and we missed it because we were a little bit late, or we were held up, more accurately. Or we don't even know about the accident that we missed. But that's God in both instances, keeping us protected and keeping us safe. We just want to thank you, God, for that. We just want to take a moment of gratitude in our hearts and acknowledgement to God, the Spirit, the divine Spirit that watches over us. So this week's message, I'll close my computer so I don't drain the battery. So this week's message from the Minista is Character is King. And I started doing a search in the gospel of hip hop for the word character. And a few years ago, we actually, for Hip Hop Appreciation Week, our theme for the year was character. And we were reading the gospel of hip hop over the phone during that time, and we were amazed at how often the word character actually comes into play in the gospel of hip hop. It's in every chapter, it's in every overstanding. And so as I was thinking about that this week and realizing that there's just about any of the overstandings I could choose from that we could look at and find character, because it's what to realize about the gospel of hip hop is that it's a philosophy, but it's a survival kit. It's an urban survival kit. It's also an instruction. It's instructions, And through these instructions of like the divine performance or the HLAR, the study of our King Martin Luther King, or the natures of hip hop or the definitions, we realize that there is a certain character that the hip hop has. There's a certain character that we walk in. And so at first, the working title this week was going to be the hip hop character, And I started studying that. I was like, man, this could be a 3-4 part. This could be a 4-hour lecture, literally, on the character of hip hop, or the hip hop's character. And so, I always liked saying character is king. And I look back because I was like, I think I did a seminar on this already. And lo and behold, I didn't. I had never done one on character is king. And while I was, doing the notes, I was thinking, the notes of character in Martin Luther King's I Have a Dream, which is this one right here. I don't know if you probably cannot read that on your screen, but this is the I Have a Dream speech by Martin Luther King delivered at the March of Washington Lincoln Memorial, Washington, D.C. on August 28th, 1963. This is the actual I Have a Dream speech here. And in this I Have a Dream speech, I'll see if I could find it up here. He talks about having, what he envisions this promised land where people are judged, not by the color of their skin, but by the content of their character. And that's a powerful statement because, there's a lot of immaturity happening in the world by all so-called races, and there's a lot of immaturity happening out there in the streets with our brothers and sisters and in businesses and in homes and in families and in all walks of life. So, a nation where people are not judged by the color of their skin, but by the content of their character. That's a heavy one, because the content of somebody's character to actually be judged by the content of their character. So it got me thinking, I was like, man, judging somebody, how do we judge somebody? Judge not lest ye be judged yourself. By the measure ye judge, so too shall ye be judged, meaning that if you judge somebody, you'll be judged back in that same measure. And, we all walk around, we're all growing to heaven. So we're all making mistakes in life. We're all learning wisdom. This is just what it means to be a human being here on earth. And, with all the temptations going on and things, it's really our character that actually stands out the most. And I realized that the judgment of our character is happening all the time. It's happening all the time. We can see the judgment of our character in our actual lives. And, Jesus, the Christ, had the perfect character. He spoke the truth. He lived out the truth, and it led him to walk alone and die alone, crucified on a cross by the Roman government. And even sold out by his own people, traitors. His own disciple, a traitor to him. But that character of the Christ that he carried with him, the character of the Christ that he spoke and that he taught and that he lived and that he is, that character is celebrated 2,000 years later. Now, we could look at the character of our King as an example. I feel like somebody wants me to tell them out there. This is the Martin Luther King Jr.'s I Have Been to the Mountaintop. I've been to the mountaintop speech. This was his last speech given the day before he was assassinated, or 2 days before he was assassinated. This is his last speech. This one, to me, the very last things he said publicly in his speech, is the most profound speech ever given by any man. And the other one would be that if I could have the trinity of my favorite speeches, the other one would be the Vietnam War, the one that actually got him killed, that he gave a year before this one here. But I just wanted to point that out. I felt like somebody was thinking about that out there. And because we're talking about character, and we just talked about Jesus the Christ, who was the character and example of our King, Martin Luther King, lived by the example. He was a Christian minister. He lived by the example of Jesus Christ. He was even crucified by the bullet. You feel me? He was assassinated for walking the same path as Jesus. Martin Luther King is an example of the Christ. As you know, we here at the Temple of Hip Hop, that's the king. We have an entire we have an entire chapter written called The Promised Land that shows that the character of the king was so in tune, this like crystalline vision, this perfect vision, this dream that he had, that I'm feeling him coming through, that he spoke into existence. I have a dream. When he spoke that into existence, the water structure, the crystal clarity that it hit, all of this, we talk about it all the time. Water is a carrier of consciousness. This is another lesson. But the conviction of God spoke to him in such a crystalline, perfect way that it reverberated out into the water that's out here, this other water that we call air. But there's all this moisture in this air. It reverberated out, hit the water bodies of everyone. Those who listen like ourselves, who only heard it from a recorded version of it. But we heard that voice and it vibrated something in our water. This reality itself heard something in the character of the king. Character is king here. The character of the king, when he spoke out, I have a dream. That hip-hop came into reality. Here we are. Can you b-boy? Can you dance? What's your skills? That's how you're going to get judged in hip-hop culture. What are your skills? What are you bringing to the table? What's your knowledge? Can you teach? What you know? Who are you? What are you about? So this man's character gave him the godly insight of a prophet, of the prophet, the godly character of the spoken word. No matter how anybody wants to judge him on his personal life, for some reason, God found Martin Luther King worthy of speaking the word into existence. And there's a powerful lesson in that for us. There's a profound lesson in that for us. What are we speaking into existence? What is our character? There's an old saying in the Bible that, the evil cannot be hidden. I'm paraphrasing here, but that what is in the dark must be brought to the light. And what that means is that nothing remains hidden for long, that the truth will always be seen eventually. And so I was thinking this week, man, it's pretty hardcore what's happening in the world right now. I'm looking at the world and just in my own way judging it, but not judging it like I can't condemn the world. The world is what it is. God is allowing it all to happen. Who am I to judge how life presents itself? Who are any of us? Who are we to judge how life presents itself to us? But we do. And so, I'm sitting there thinking about the media and how, I like to talk some shit about the media every week. I like to say that, and I was kind of like, oh, is there some kind of darkness in my heart that feels I have to do that? And it was just a question, and as I was meditating, it was just clear to me that speaking the truth is bringing the darkness into light, is bringing what is hidden in the darkness in the light. And so Martin Luther King, when you go and you say, you take a moment and listen to his speech against the Vietnam War, he was speaking a profound truth that needed to be brought into the light fearlessly. So fearless, as a matter of fact, that got him killed. But did he die? Was Martin Luther King really killed? Is he not bigger now than ever before? Is he not more well-known, more respected now than when he lived? How can we judge? Why would we judge? This man had a conviction. His character had a conviction. His last name was King. His character was king. His character put him in prison. 17 times he was arrested and went to jail. This character had him speak out against racial injustice, about inequality, and about the direction that America itself was going to take. And some listened and heard the warning, and some didn't. And isn't that how it always is when the prophets come and the messiahs come and the teachers come and the teachers come and hip-hop comes and truth comes and the Christ comes, that some get it and listen and others don't? Why are we so confused then? Are we waiting for everyone to get it? Are we going to be it after everybody else gets it? No. Who would teach such a fallacy? Kuan Yin is dope. Kuan Yin, look her up. Her enlightenment, her Buddhahood was that she was going to continue to reincarnate and watch over her people until they all got it, until they all reached the Buddhahood, until they all reached the Buddha nature. Thoth was offered by the cosmic beings in the Emerald Tablets of Thoth. We read from it a couple weeks ago. Was offered that, you've transcended the realm of earth. You've transcended the realm. Where would you like to go? Where would you like to go in all the universe, all the galaxy, these worlds? Where would you like to go? Thoth, as your reward. And Thoth said, I'd like to return to earth and be a teacher. I would like to lead others to the tree of life. These are real characters. This man is a real character. He has real character. In fact, so much so that it would behoove us to mimic the character of our King, Martin Luther King. Am I saying we got to go get assassinated by the government? No. But what I am saying is it was good enough for Martin Luther King. There's a lot of people who follow their truth and don't get assassinated. But what's the measure of the truth that they're following? Is character king? And if character isn't king, what is king then? I remember many years ago, good solid 13 years ago, just going through a rough patch in life, like the darkness in life, and a lot of people, who was close to me, those who were as closest to me, that just started slandering my name, started lying about me. And I was like, yo, this is nuts. I've never experienced anything like this. Like, I've been lied about before at jobs. I've been slandered before. But to the level that this was, it was like I didn't know what to do, because you can't fight fire with fire, And so I'm not going to slander the person back. Why? That's not in my nature, my character. Keep that in mind, nature and character, as this goes on. Because our nature is our character. Our character is our nature. We can't go against our nature. When we do go against our nature, we suffer. Or when we judge our own nature, we suffer. And so there's these lies going on, and people, I'm going out shopping at the grocery store where I lived, and people I know are kind of looking at me different, and I'm like, what's going on here? And so I started hearing this rumors and these things coming back about me, and I'm like, what, really? That's nuts. Let me go and tell everybody that ain't true. And I did. I stayed, but I stayed in my character. And it was very interesting to me, because the reason is that all these lies are going on, right? And I didn't combat the liar. I didn't go after the liar. I didn't fight fire with fire. I didn't lower myself to their level, And I wanted to. I wanted some revenge, right? I plotted in my head, and then, no, I ain't going to do that. People offered to help me out, hey, let me, I'll do something about it for you. You're my bro, But as I noticed, as time started going on, I started having conversations with people, and they were like, yo, I heard this about you, and they were just lying, and I knew your character, and I know your reputation. I know who you are. And I was like, word, And I thought about how many times in my life that's happened, like money goes missing and nobody's looking at me. And I'm feeling like, I got to help find this money wherever it is. And people say, oh, this was at a job I had many years ago at a warehouse, And I was like, yo, it wasn't me, because this guy was running around grabbing people off forklifts ready to beat them up. I was like, yo, Eddie. He's like, yo, it wasn't me. He's like, I know it wasn't you. And I was like, okay, I just want to make sure it ain't me, man. He's like, it ain't in your character. And I was like, oh, word, And I was the only one who wasn't getting suspected, right? And you look and you go through these lives. I'm sure you guys have these things happen in your own lives, right? And you go through your life and you see that people are going to do shit. People are going to say things about you. It's a test of your character. And realize that as we go through life, when these hardships come, or when somebody's lying about us at a job and trying to get us fired at the job because they're jockeying for position, right? And they're just not even blatantly lying, but they're just misdirecting energy. They're just misdirecting how somebody else is going to view you. Like middle management. Like you could be working in the warehouse, right? And then the middle manager is telling the CEO or telling the head of the corporation that, oh yeah, they don't, I don't know. He doesn't really come to work he comes to work, but I don't see him early all the time. But they know you're early all the time, but they just don't tell, that middleman. And you're not the one that gets to go tell the corporate, CEO, I come in early all the time. You're counting on the middleman to be, give a good example of your character. So as I'm managing a warehouse, right, and the middleman is telling the owner of the company, like, they don't really like this job, and I do like the job, say. This happens all the time. And what happens is, you can get mad. You can, the character of truth. I've had to go out and I heard somebody was lying about me, and I was like, I got to sit down with the CEO and talk, with the owner of the company and talk and be like, why were you lying about me? But my character stood up at that time. I was a young man when it happened. But it's going to happen in life. It's about the experience. So if we're going to have an experience on life, and we're going to have an experience of being and standing in the truth, and we're going to have an experience of a spiritual character, how are you even going to know you have a spiritual character and a spiritual nature unless that character and that nature gets tested? Unless you go through some tribulation, and unless you go through some trials. If somebody's lying about you, but you're dedicated to the truth, and you just say, I am the truth, and you stand in your truth, and you stand as truth, the truth, it will eventually be seen. Maybe not in your time frame, maybe not when you want it to happen, but when the divine mind decides that it's going to happen, it's going to happen. Because this is about divine timing. Character is in accordance with divine timing. Character itself. And as I say character, I'm talking about the character of the Martin Luther King, the character of the Christ, the character of the hip hopper, the character of truth, the character of the divine performances. These characters. Not the characteristics of a liar, not the characteristics of a thief. No. A thief has the character of a thief. What is your character? What is our character collectively? I love hip hop, like in that way, right? Our character is wild in hip hop. we've got the character of the master scholar in the teacher, and then we've got the character of the streets, and in the same person with the teacher, right? But we've got, gangster rap, and we've got like hardcore gangster rap, right? And everything in between is the hip hop character. So when somebody doesn't really know what hip hop is about, you don't really know most of the time what they're going to associate us with. Somebody says, "Oh, what are you?" I say, "I'm hip hop." Hip hop, what does that mean? Somebody see my head wrap, right? And it's like, "Oh, what religion are you?" And I said, "I am hip hop." And they were like, "What?" I said, "Yeah, I'm hip hop, man. Hip hop's my religion. It's my way of life." Religion, just the root of the word religion, just means a way of life, right? And so, the ceremonies involved in the way of life, and the language involved in that particular way of life, and the dance involved with that particular way of life, and the philosophy involved with that particular way of life. That's what religion is, right? But so I said, yeah, I'm hip hop. That's my religion. And he was like, "Whoa, what does that even mean?" Right? And I could just see the wheels in his head turning like, wait, does that mean, Common? Or does that mean Ice Cube? Or does that mean, Kanye West? Or, what does this mean to be hip hop? Because they're just thinking rap most of the time, right? But that conversation piece usually just opened up right there, because I was went and breaking and seeing graffiti art, DJing, beatboxing, street fashion, street language, street knowledge, street entrepreneurialism, and just started lacing them up with the 9 elements and showed them the gospel of hip hop, and but that got the conversation rolling. But what is your character? Like if somebody comes up and asks, "What are you about?" Tell them about your character. Don't tell them about your job. Tell them about your character. What are you about? "Oh man, I'm about peace, love, unity, and having fun. That's what I'm about." "What are you about?" "I'm about health, love, awareness, and wealth. That's what I'm about." "What are you about?" "I'm about peace and prosperity." "Who are you?" "I'm peace and prosperity." Because that's your character. You are your character. Literally, you are your character. Like this guy is Zin. This is my character. Hey, everybody, So my character is peace and prosperity, health, love, awareness, and wealth, peace, love, unity, and having fun. These are affirmations. These are affirmatives of our character. What are you affirming about your character? Who are you? Who do you say you are? It's going to tell you a lot about your character. And look at your nature as well. I said earlier, the word character and nature. There's also this word disposition as well. We'll get into that for a quick moment when we go through only because it turns us back into nature when we go over the American Heritage 3rd edition definitions that we're going to get into in a minute here. But character and nature. So as we say character is king, it really is that nature is king. Nature is like the most unstoppable thing about nature is it's so wonderful. Because anything man-made, nature is going to inhabit again at some time or the other. Whether it's under an ocean floor, like all those cities, and especially in the Mediterranean, there's entire cities lost under the ocean, under the Mediterranean Sea, right? Off the coast of California even. I mean, they find cities underwater. The nature of water found its level and took over the city. And you see it all the time on just even a house, right? Even this house that I'm living in. Like you have to go up on the roof, and well, we're in Texas, but they don't have to do that. But the house I lived in I lived in in the mountains for a little bit, and in that cabin, you go up on the roof, and you'd have to power wash the roof every year because the dust that would fly around would get moisture, and then molds and moss and grass even would be growing up on the roof, and it would just start decomposing the wooden tiles of the roof rapidly. So a garden is literally growing on the roof. And then tree branches are pushing up the foundations of homes and sidewalks, taking back over, little, just you can see it everywhere. Notice how nature takes over, is bound. Even in New York City, you will see nature fighting its way back. So our nature is like this, it just keeps happening. It just keeps moving forward. It's just a part of our character, part of our nature. If your character is, if you have a godly character, then God is your nature, is in your nature. If you have the character of Christ, then Christ is in your nature. If you have the character of a hip-hopper, then hip-hop is in your nature. So character and nature, it's one and the same. The word character, you could even say the word nature. Nature is king. Well, most people would say nature is queen because we call her Mother Nature. But nature is very masculine. It gives birth, but it also crushes and destroys. I mean, it's everything in between. Trees are very phallic. But our character is our nature, and nature is our character. What is it about our nature that's that spirit? Once again, Minista G. Simone, the acrinologist G. Simone, her acronym for spirit, something pressing inside, revealing its truth. That truth is our character, and that's the character that we're going to be talking about. Let's read the definitions here real quick. It's a long definition. I'll pop it up here on the screen, and you can see that you're only seeing half of what the definition is because, like I said, it's quite a long definition. So as you can see here, character as a noun. We're going to be talking about it as a noun and as a verb, and you'll see that these different meanings come into play with character. And while we're going over this, while you're taking your notes, and while we're looking at this word character, think all this goes into our character. I'm talking about the character of like Martin Luther King and that kind of the quality of the quality of a man, the quality of a woman, the quality of character that somebody has. We're talking about that specifically, but we're going to see that character covers the whole package of who we are. And it says right here, character, the combination of qualities or features. Character, noun, definition 1. The combination of qualities or features that distinguishes one person, group, or thing from another. See synonym of disposition. And like I said earlier, we're going to actually go to disposition after we go through this, just to bring it back to nature. But look at this, the combination or qualities or features that distinguishes one person, a group, or thing from another. So even character, a table could have a character. There's a certain characteristics about a table. There's a certain characteristics about a group, like the nation. There's a certain character that the Nation of Islam carries. When you hear that somebody is in the Nation of Islam, there's a certain character that you've come to expect by, I know in working with the communities, especially there in Florida and with the Nation of Islam as the Temple of Hip Hop, that there's a certain character that those brothers and sisters in the Nation of Islam have, those brothers carry. There's a certain discipline, a certain way that they walk, a certain way that they speak. You don't hear them cursing or cussing. You see them walking tall. They dress a certain way. There's a certain character to that group. So character can describe a person, a group, or a thing. Disposition, we'll get into that in a minute. Definition number 2, a distinguishing feature or attribute of an individual, a group, or a category. This is a distinguishing feature or attribute as an individual, a group, or a category. Well, let's say a group, right here, a distinguishing feature of a group of, say, Christians. Their distinguishing feature is they go to church. And you can see here too, it's a distinguishing feature or attribute of an individual. Like Shaquille O'Neal, like you look at him, his character is, he's 7 foot whatever, 7'4", and weighs, 380 pounds. Like the character of Shaquille O'Neal is, he's a giant, The character of a basketball player as a group is basketball players are tall. Traditionally, shout out to Spud Webb, Muggsy Bogues. But, the traditional character of a basketball player is that their characteristic is that they are tall. So, or a category as well. A category of science fiction is that the category science fiction, a character of science fiction is going to be space. When people fly around in space. That's why it's called science fiction. Definition number 3, in genetics. Oh, and see, it's synonymous with quality or type. So the quality or type of a person also is their character. The quality or type. What type of person are they? What is the quality of that organization? That will be their characteristics. Number 3, in genetics, a structure, function, or attribute determined by a gene or group of genes. Whoa! Gene characteristics. The characteristics of my eyes, I have blue eyes. So my genes have the characteristics of blue. My blue eyes were carried in my genes. My genes determined that I would have blue eyes. Therefore, I have blue jeans. No pun intended, because I actually am wearing black jeans. Moral or ethical struggle. That's another thing for character. Look at that. See, like I said, every one of these definitions is applicable to what we're talking about tonight when we say character is king. Because definition number 4, moral or ethical strength. That's character. You have character if you show moral or ethical strength. That's the character of Martin Luther King. He shows moral and ethical character. Number 5, once again, a description of a person's attributes, traits, or abilities. Our abilities are our characters. Our attributes are traits. His traits are that, as somebody who is wise. His traits are that he has wisdom. His attributes are that he is kind. Her attributes is that she has an incredible ability to manage information and lead an organization and keep them organized. These are character traits. Definition number 6, a formal written statement as to competency and dependability given by an employer to a former employee. A character reference. That would be a character reference. In the work world, man, say, can I get a good character reference? And if you have good character, somebody's going to give you a good character reference when you go for a different job or you go to apply for your license in that world. In landscaping, you have to have a contractor's license to go out and charge $70 an hour and be insured. So, and to get that contractor's license, you have to have worked under other contractors you have to have worked under other licensed contractors or have gone to school. But either way, you're getting a certificate of authenticity. The Temple of Hip Hop, perfect example of this. To get a certificate from the Temple of Hip Hop shows that you have the character that the certificate says that you have. You have the character of somebody who has studied and read the Hip Hop Declaration of Peace and the Gospel of Hip Hop. That would be the character reference. Same thing as the job. They give you a character reference. So people are going to use your character to reference you. So that's why it's always good to do a good job. Even if you don't like the job you presently have, if you want a better job, perform at that job. Give it exceptional character. Be of exceptional character. Put your best foot forward. Do a good job. Do a well job. Be a competent person at your job. And then that character is going to carry you on. I hate working at Walmart. But if you have good character while you work at Walmart, you'll have a good character when they hire you over at Whole Foods or wherever it is you're going to go. Never look down on any job that you have. If you have a job, you're very fortunate to have a job in that way. Do the best job possible, and if you hate the job, still be of good character, and that character will get you a better job. Guaranteed. It always works. These are physics. This is metaphysics in the way that this is the way that you have to see it, to be it, but the being of good character is just physics just happen. When you have a pleasant character and people like you, life just gets easier. If you're arguing all the time and people don't like you, life is harder. And so when I see people who are in organizations or positions of leadership or are managers at jobs or owners of companies and that their company is failing and they're blaming the workers character matches that of management. An organization, if the organization is failing, look up to the upper management. Look at that. Because that's the character of the company. There was I worked for a company called Service Merchandise. It used to be huge. But the character of the company, of the higher up corporations, would come in and it would trickle down. the character of that company would trickle down into the rest of the corporation, and they went out of business. It was amazing for me to watch. And I found I found a way better job afterwards from the connections I made at that job because they knew my character. But the entire company went out of business because of poor management characteristics at the top levels of the company. Number 7, public estimation of someone's reputation. Wow. Public estimation of someone's reputation. What is the public estimation and reputation of our King, Martin Luther King? Number 8, status or role, capacity in his character as a father, his character as an MC, his character as a man of God. Definition number 9a, a notable or well-known person, a personage. A notable or well-known person or personage, yep, a well-known character. Snoop Dogg, that's a well-known character. Like there's a certain personage that Snoop Dogg has. He's probably not like that all the time, you know. The way, you know, when he's at home chilling with his kids, he's his dad. But there's a certain character he puts on when he's doing his advertisements and things like that. But he is Michael Jordan is a character. There's a certain character of Michael Jordan that people, and a character can also be fictional. Let's go there. Bugs Bunny is a cartoon character. You know, Wolverine is a comic book character. Batman, comic book character. The X-Men are comic book characters. A person characterization in, see right here, 10b is the characterization in fiction or drama. Once again. And why do they call them characters is because we know them by their characteristics. Wolverine, he has the characteristics of a Wolverine. He's a badger with really big, sharp claws, you know, and he's tough, and he's strong, and he's buffed, and he's dense. You know, that's the character of Wolverine. Number 11, character, a mark or symbol used in writing system. So characters, letters are characters. These letters we're looking at in these definitions, C-H-A-R-A-C-T-E-R. Those are all characters. The C is a character, the H is a character, the A is a character, and so on. And this is great in graffiti art. Just take a moment and think about graffiti art. And that when we draw an A, what are the characteristics of the A? You know, is it long and swooping? Is it boxy and 30-dimensional? Is it fat and bubbly? There's all these characteristics that go into the character itself. And they draw little cartoon characters. Character is king for a graffiti writer. It's all about the character of the letters, the character of the message, the character of the colors, the character of the painter. Definition number 12, A, computer science, one of a set of symbols such as letters or numbers that are arranged to express information. Yo, we all have an online profile. Most of us do. We're looking at this on YouTube right now. One of a set of symbols such as letters, numbers that are arranged to express information. I'm telling you, every one of these is applicable. The multi-bit code representing such a character. Well, I'll tell you right now on a whole other level, they've got the genome written down. They've got the character of the human genome written down into a multi-bit code representing such a character. Beware. Beware. Definition number 13, a style of printing or writing. You know, script, Old English, these are characters. We see it all the time in fonts. They could even say font. Characters, the different characteristics of fonts. Character as an adjective now, of or relating to one's character. 2a, specializing in the interpretation of often minor roles that emphasize fixed personality traits or specific physical characteristics. So you see, people are getting judged by their physical characteristics and by their personality traits. Are they tall? Are you short? Are you nice? Are you mean? So on and so forth. Definition 2b, of or relating to the interpretation of such roles by an actor, the character that the actor portrays, whether it's fictional or real. Dedicated to the, number 3, dedicated to the portrayal of a person with regard to distinguishing Physiological or physical features, a character sketch. Law of or relating to a person who gives testimony as to the moral and ethical reputation or behavior of one engaged in a lawsuit. That is a character witness. The archaic, to write, print, or engrave, or inscribe. Ding, 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 graffiti. To write, print, engrave, or inscribe. There's hip hop right there. To portray or describe. In character, consistent with someone's general character or behavior. Behavior that was totally in character or out of character. Inconsistent with someone's general character of behavior. A response so much out of character that it amazed me. Those are the definitions for character. And I said we'll do disinformation. Oh, hold up, pause. Okay. I know that was a long one for character, but I want to take a moment just to see, and so it's in history, and you can go back and study that, because there are so many things that go into character. And we talked a few weeks ago when I was reading from the book Definitions about defining ourselves and defining the characteristics that define us. When we give ourselves a new name, what is the characteristics of our new name? Like Zin Uru, when I took the name Zin Uru, what are the characteristics of Zin Uru, right? And so I wanted to go through those long definitions of characteristics, because there is a role that we're playing as an MC publicly. You know, when I'm on stage as an MC, I'm not the same guy who's helping his dad, get up and down out of a wheelchair. I'm somebody totally different up there. I'm just the same character. I would help somebody get up and out of their wheelchair, but I'm not doing the same job. The character role that I'm playing as an MC when I got the steel in my hand. Same with you. You go to a job, there's a certain character role you're playing at work that you're not playing the same role at home. Sure, there's characteristics. You're going to be kind at home and at work or whatever it is. But it's like a hat you put on when you're working. It's different than the hat you have on when you're dad at home. Okay, so that's why I wanted to go over all these characteristics, and even as letters and the characters, like the character of our clothing defines us. The character of our letters, of our graffiti letters, that defines who we are as artists. The character of, as an MC, of the voice quality and things like this. All of this goes into character. The characters that we look up to, like the character of Martin Luther King, or even the character of somebody fictional like Neo. See, character is it's a major player here, is what I'm saying. That's why I'm saying character is king. It's very important to realize that. But let's put this up here real quick. I'm going to be reading the definition for the word disposition. But I just happened to come across disinformation while I was looking for a disposition. And I just have to put this out here. Because look at this. Because there's something very important here. And never forget that when we study the dictionaries of the colonizer, which definitely this is the dictionary of the colonizer, and not even the dissent, it's a fine dictionary, very helpful. But look at this, disinformation. They're telling on themselves right here. A noun, disinformation. This is in the American Heritage Dictionary, 3rd edition. They've probably changed it by now. I'd have to look at the date on that one. Deliberately misleading information announced publicly or leaked by a government, or especially by an intelligence agency, in order to influence public opinion or the government in another nation. Let me read that again, because they're telling on themselves right here. Disinformation, deliberately misleading information announced publicly or leaked by a government, or especially by an intelligence agency, in order to influence public opinion or the government in another nation. Definition number 2, dissemination of such misleading information. Nowhere on here does it say that disinformation comes from the private sector. So people cannot spread disinformation only leaked by a government, or especially by an intelligence agency, in order to influence public opinion or the government in another nation. Deliberately misleading information announced publicly or leaked by a government, or especially by they're telling you right here, the only thing that is disinformation is If the government says, that's disinformation, that is disinformation, you can bet that that disinformation was put out publicly by the government. They're telling on themselves right here. Disinformation is misleading information announced publicly or leaked by a government, or especially by an intelligence agency. The letter boys, publicly giving out disinformation to mislead the public. Doesn't say anywhere here that Zin can be a purveyor of disinformation. Why? Because I'm not a government. I don't work for no intelligence agency. Just saying. People might be wrong. They might have bad opinions, but they can't be given disinformation. They told on themselves there. This is why it's so important to study the etymology of words, because you'll see this. If you study any time with the teacher and he's giving the etymology, a few months back he did the etymology on the word Chauvin, when Derek Chauvin trial for the George Floyd murder. And it showed that Chauvin, the word chauvinistic, actually comes from his family line. To act like that guy acted was chauvinistic. To be chauvinistic is to be like Derek Chauvin. So they tell on themselves in their language. So you can go back and do the etymology on words, and this is why it's so important. You know, we're speaking English, so we need to know these definitions of what they're saying so they no longer cast spells, that we can speak these words with confidence and know what they mean. And this is also why our street language comes in, and why we have our own language as hip-hop. You know, I'm speaking in a lot of coded language that most people don't even know what I'm talking about. Unless you hip-hop, you're not even going to know like 70% of what I'm talking about most of the time. Even the way I talk and the rhythm I talk, people can't keep up with it, or they don't understand the rhythm that we talk in. Disposition. Let's get back to character now. We went all over those definitions of character, but it said the word character is synonymous with disposition, especially when it comes to, you know, a person's character, the characteristics that describe a person. Disposition, one's usual mood, temperament, a sweet disposition. What's your mood? People are going to judge you by your mood. People are going to look at you and know you by your mood. Habitual inclination, a tendency. This is how people are going to view you. A physical property or tendency. Arrangement, positioning, or distribution. That's another way of disposition. An act, disposing of, a bestowal, or a transfer to another. Well, I just wanted to look at those first ones right there that it's synonymous with. Because people judge us by our moods, our temperament, and our habitual inclinations, and our tendencies. Then also the physical properties that we have as well. And let's scroll up here too. You can see synonyms of disposition. Disposition, temperament, character, personality, and nature. So see, disposition. What is your temperament? What is your temperament? Are you easy to get along with? Are you short-tempered? What is somebody's temperament? That's their character. We went over that. What is your personality? There's another word that's synonymous with your character, is your personality. And right here, this is what I want to bring in, because nature, synonymous with nature. What's your nature? Well, hip-hop is my nature. I'm a hip-hopper. And as soon as I got around the teacher, and as soon as I got out, I went from the landscaping environment and the working man's world, where I was hip-hop, like that's the music I listened to growing up. That's just, you know, my attitude in life. I didn't really, until the teacher started showing and I started going around hip-hop, I didn't realize like how far I was meant to go in hip-hop until I walked into the temple of hip-hop and I started traveling the world as hip-hop, and my character as a hip-hopper it just worked. I started attracting homies and homegirls to me and new people. I started meeting, you know, thousands of people and getting numbers and staying in contact and getting to inspiring and receiving information and inspiration and getting beats and rapping and all these things that go along with the hip-hop. But like I didn't even know that about myself when I was going landscaping. I was hanging out with one person a day, my boss, and me and him would work from sunup to sundown, and I'd go home and hang out with the kids for a couple hours and go to sleep. And that was it. That was it. I'd see a friend or two every once in a while, maybe 2 weekends a month, right? And I'd go out to a concert maybe once a month, maybe twice a year, 3 times a year, because I was working so much, and I had the character of a working man. And somewhere in there, the character of who I am, once it came into the right environment, once I got into the environment, did I really start just waking up to myself? Did my nature start showing and displaying itself? Now here I am, Minista Zin Uru. What's your character? Your character is going to carry you. Your character is going to be how people judge you, whether you like it or not, whether it's fair or not, doesn't matter. Know that you're going to be judged by your personality, by your character. I don't know, but I've told this story before, but it's always worth mentioning again. There's a rapper who I thought he was dope, right? I heard his lyrics, heard his flow, heard his music. I thought it was dope at one time. And then I went on tour and, did like 8 shows with this dude and got to know him throughout that time. And like, I didn't even like his music no more after I saw his character. Right? And it was weird for me because I like this music. That's why he went on tour, right? We were like, yo, this dude's dope. Let's see if he wants to go on tour. And he came on tour. But his music was dope, but his character was so poor. He was causing arguments daily. He was a drama queen, just drama, and nonstop. It was like you look at the dude and he couldn't, it's like he was so narcissistic. He had to cause drama at every moment, like every moment. I never saw somebody be such an energetic vampire. And this guy had the talent to make it, to make it. The talent to be popular, but as soon as people meet the guy, they're like, you didn't ever want to listen to his music again. That's how important character is. That's how important character is. You go from thinking the dude's dope when you hear his music to meeting him in real life to actually hearing the music and thinking the music sounds whack. I mean, honestly, like his music sounds whack to me when I hear it. And I liked it before. But that's just the way that it works. Our ears hear something. We can start hearing the character because, we hear the artist and maybe it's better not to meet those artists all the time, I'm just saying. But in that instance, it was just like so profound. And I say that to the MCs out there. I say that to the DJs out there. I say that to anyone following their purpose, really, or anybody just interacting with society. What's your character? What kind of character are you interfacing with society with? What kind of character are we presenting? Because we're going to get judged by that character, whether it's fair, like I said, or whether we like it or not. We're going to be judged by that character. Be of good character. Why? Because character is king. Character is what's seen, it's what's felt, it's what's smelt, it's what's heard. Character. And as you're developing your character, look at it like that. I gave this out a while ago, but like you're an action figure, right? Treat yourself as an action figure at times. Like you're like a action figure that you can put the gear on that you want. Like this body's an avatar, right? We're just avatars. The real Zin Uru, the real being that's beyond even the word Zin Uru, the real being that resonates, that's speaking and inhabiting this flesh body, that's inhabiting this water body, this consciousness that's inhabiting this water body, the real me, the real higher self. This is my action figure. This thing you see Zin walking around speaking out here, and this is my action figure. And I like to wear my arc star as part of my action figure. And I like to wrap my hair and grow dreadlocks as my action figure. And my action figure likes to MC. And my action figure likes to draw and grow plants and work on the yard. That's my action figure likes to teach. My action figure likes to pray and meditate. My action figure likes to sit under the magnificent glow of the tree of life and the crystal technologies. That's my action figure. My action figure is a friend. My action figure is a son. My action figure is a father. That's my action figure. My action figure, my action figure likes to drive Mustangs with manual transmissions, muscle cars and sports cars with manual transmissions. That's my action figure. And what's your action figure? Know thyself, my nobility. What does that mean? What is your action figure doing? And you got to take care of your action figure if you want it to take care of you. You got to be disciplined with your action figure. What foods are you putting into your action figure? That's your character. Food is mood. Didn't we just see that somebody's temperament is their character, is their disposition? Well, if food is mood and you're eating the wrong foods, then you're going to be going around in a bad mood. And that's going to be the character that others judge you by, including yourself. We judge ourselves by our character all the time. When I mess up, I judge my character. I say, that is unworthy of my character, that behavior. I must change my character. I must change my behavior. I must change my perception. I must change who I am. I must grow into a more mature being. That's why we make mistakes. It's character development. Character builder. They say tough times build character, right? So the tough times, the dark days, the dark night of the soul, all of that is building character. And when you know that the tough times are building character, there's just a certain grace that goes over it. There's a certain peace that goes over, a certain level of endurance that goes over it. I want to read from the Gospel of Hip Hop tonight, and then we'll have a closing word on character. Put this up on the screen. I was thinking, I just wanted to go through the fundamentals here. So we're going to go right to the third overstanding, the divine performance. And you can go online on the YouTube links at the Temple of Hip Hop, and you can see that the teacher just did the entire divine performance, read all 18 divine performances. I'm not going to do that right here, right now. I'm just going to do the intro. You can go back and watch those to really get a deeper understanding of this. And of course, get a copy of the Gospel of Hip Hop and read and study the divine performance. But the divine performance is the character of the hip hop prescribed by the Gospel of Hip Hop to the Temple of Hip Hop. This is the character right here. And I only want to read the introduction here. I'm just going to read the introduction and put you into the further study mode. This is the work. Your character is your work to go and return to the divine performance and study and meditate on it like twice a year, the entire overstanding 2 times a year. That seems to be, every 6 months, studying the character of the divine performance helps develop that divine performance in the hip hop. And remember, all of these 18 divine performances, they create the hip hop character. And see how your performance is what's going to create your character. Be judged by these type things. If you want to be judged by something, let it be the divine performance, because these are timeless principles that they've stood the test of time. This is nothing new here. This is just in the language of the hip hop to understand. Peace and much love. Let us continue. After you have made the decision to be hip hop, and after you have declared to 3 of your closest associates, I am hip hop, it is time to enter your temple. For it is not enough to read about what spiritual righteousness is. The true hip hopper must act out or perform spiritual righteousness in order to experience the peace and power of the spiritual realm. And this requires strength. For without spiritual strength, endurance, no spiritual virtues or principles can be achieved. At the top of this discipline, it should be clearly pointed out that the divine performance reveals only the first steps in a hip hop spiritual training, in hip hop spiritual living. See these divine performances, these are the first steps, my nobility. These are the first steps. This is the finger pointing to the moon. This study gets the true hip hopper ready for the deeper mysteries of God, which must be lived in order to be understood. And see, let's be real here. God is judging us by our character, my nobility, and this is where we wanted to take the depths. Your character is going to tell God where you can or can't go, what you can or can't know, what can be revealed to you or not be revealed to you based on your character. And to live the divine performance is just these first steps, my nobility, to the deeper mysteries of God that must be lived in order to be understood. Such an overstanding is designed to build up the spiritual character and awareness of the hip hopper in preparation for the deeper spiritual knowledge to come. The divine performance centers the hip hopper's life around a simple set of timeless spiritual life skills that open the gates of the spiritual realm and preserves the actual life of the hip hopper, thus preserving hip hop for real. For it is never one's talent that ensures one's longevity. Even with great talent or inheritance, it is one's personal character that truly ensures one's professional success and longevity. We have seen too many talented people, artistic and otherwise, fail to acquire or maintain successful careers, even with great skills, because of the shortcomings of their own personal characters. The hurts, the betrayals, the loneliness, the failures, all of this can hinder the development of both the ignorant and the enlightened. Now, this is key right here, my nobility. This is key when it comes to character. But if you put God first in your life and lend your heart to the reality of God only, all else shall fall into place. The ignorance, immaturity, and insecurity of others shall be revealed to them in time, while you shall be protected by your divine performance. In addition, we've also seen too many hip-hop activists fail to actualize their plans and goals because of their own outdated perceptions and stubborn attitudes towards life. Know this, life is about growth, and if you are not growing, you are not living. Yes, there will be times of hurt and loneliness. Yes, you will wonder why people do what they do. But in the end, if you remain strengthened and transformed by your performance of divinity, peace and justice shall become your permanent condition. Therefore, in accordance with our strategies to actually preserve hip-hop, those who take the vow, I am hip-hop, and have decided to live and grow in spirit are given these instructions for atonement. All right, my nobility, let's just look at this, okay? From where you stand, sit, or lie, cleanse your mind with the following affirmation given to me by my mother, Jacqueline. That's the teacher. That's Jacqueline Parker. That's his mother, years ago. Say the following affirmation 3 times every night before you sleep and once in the morning when you awaken for 21 days. Now check this out. Feel this, my nobility. When you feel this when you say it, and expect it too. Feel it and expect it. For 21 days, 3 times before you go to bed, once when you wake up. I am not afraid. Today, I give myself permission to be all that I can be. New fields of divine activity now open for me. Unexpected doors fly open. Unexpected channels are now free. My mind is focused and directed toward my victory. I now create what I need with divine energy. Good things come to me easily, in peace, and at the right time. And there it is. B. At this very moment, you must decide to change your diet toward the consumption of healthier foods and thoughts. If you are above the age of 18, you should gradually withdraw from the consumption of all processed and junk foods, meats, and meat products. Even before you finish these overstandings, you should gradually begin to accustom your mind and body towards a healthier diet. You should begin to gradually lessen your intake of dairy, flour, salt, sugar, and all other addictions like hate, worry, and fear. Resist overeating and lessen your intake of drugs that can cause irregular eating or overeating. Respect yourself by committing to yourself. Remember, the future you is depending upon the you now to make the right decisions for its survival. This is the attitude one must adopt in order to protect, preserve, and develop one's self productively. Therefore, realize the truth of God's actual presence and cleanse your body inside and out, for it is now God's temple. Prepare now for the arrival of your God. At this very moment, and before you prepare to sleep, confess to God the things you've thought, said, and done that you felt were not right. Forgive your enemies first by acknowledging that they were young and ignorant, and then ask God to forgive you for your immaturity and ignorance. Ask God to guide you towards increased knowledge. Trust no man or woman with your confession. Confess your mistakes only to God. Ask God to forgive you of your anger and discourteous responses, even while driving, working, and walking. Humble yourself and truly contemplate the pain you've caused others. Ask God to forgive you and bless those whom you have performed ignorantly and destructively towards. You can also directly seek the forgiveness of those you have hurt by performing the superhuman act of apologizing. Cleanse the guilt from your own heart. Apologize, repent, and let it go. Seek to resolve the conflicts and misunderstandings in your own life. Perform forgiveness. D, right now, at this very moment, think about a space close to you. This is so important, my nobility. I did this and it's like a rocket ship. It changed my life immediately. The teacher taught me this right here before we even had the Gospel of Hip Hop in my hand. Before we even had it printed up. He taught me this lesson. And he taught a group of us this lesson. And those who listened and followed this, their lives changed. Right now, at this very moment, think about a space close to you where you sleep, where you can set up an area to pray and study. It can be a space on the floor, a table, a shelf, or a window. It can be as small as a shoebox in the corner or as large as the entire bedroom. In any event, at your beginning, the space you set aside to pray and study should be near to where you sleep, if possible. After you've designated the space, choose a surface, a table, a shelf, a box, a crate, etc. to place in your sacred space. Such a surface is commonly called an altar. It is the physical place you go to alter your awareness from natural to divine. It is the place where you talk to the presence of God. It is in this place that you affirm your past, present, and future victories. Here, you can cover your designated surface with a new and clean cloth. Then place upon your covered surface a candle or candles, your favorite oils, sprays, waters, incense, pictures of those you truly love and or admire, and this Gospel of Hip Hop open to either the freestyles or your favorite overstanding. After you have done this, thank God for your sacred space, and then repeat your affirmation 3 times and go to sleep in faith and in peace. Cleanse your environment with the establishment of your sacred space, and let not your space be violated. Believe in your spiritual reality, and it shall become real in your life. Now, here we go. Let us continue. Now, this is where we give a divine performance. Now, keep this in mind, my nobility, as we read this last page here. Keep this in mind when it comes to character and your divine performance, because your performance is your character. Your character is your performance. It's what others are going to see and be moved by. Let us continue. At an average rap music concert, there's usually an opening act or acts followed by the headliner. Attuned hip-hoppers and experienced rap fans alike have learned that great opening acts that have been successful have always shouted praise to the headliner and have always sought to align their performances to that of the headliners. The opening act performs with an overstanding that the headliner is sure to follow with an even more elaborate performance. It is the headliner who closes the show. Similarly, attuned hip-hoppers know that God is the true headliner in every arena of life. Even if the hip-hopper is a headliner in the world, the attuned hip-hopper remains an opening act to God. As an opening act, the attuned hip-hopper performs life in spirit, knowing that God will close the show. Whatever the attuned hip-hopper does, it is done with the overstanding that God will complete whatever has started. When this truth is realized, one's actions will reflect such a realization. How often do we forget that the hip-hop lived life is a performance, and that imitating the performances of God sets one apart from the world and its troubles? Attuned hip-hop is live life as a great performance. When we are at work, When we are at work, we are performing. When we are with family, we are performing. Every day and every moment of the day, we are performing. Even while asleep, there are a variety of performances taking place within one's mind, body, and environment. It is our performances in life that manifest or form the circumstances of our lives. Each performance is literally a preformed dance, a performance, an action that creates and forms life circumstances. Therefore, attuned hip-hop is aligned with their performances to God's performance, remaining protected, prosperous, and at peace in harmony with the will of God in their lives continuously. For when God's personality is a habit in your life, victory over the streets is inevitable and constant. And when God is enough for you, peace shall always be with you. This performance ensures one's longevity as an MC, DJ, graffiti writer, etc. Rap fans are trapped in the lure of lyrical freestyling, while attuned hip-hoppers enjoy a life that is free. Rap fans focus only upon sales and the performances of the marketplace, while attuned hip-hoppers focus upon the performances of their God and receive all things freely. To perform correctly is to live and act totally aware of your life and actions. The arena is your environment. The stage represents your level of mentality, and the audience is the world. The show is an act of one or more divine performances. Therefore, give a good show. As we perform throughout life, we should be drawing the applause of God. Hip-hoppers are advised to perform the following. And right there, my nobility, you have to have a copy of the Gospel of Hip-Hop to go deeper into the character of the hip-hopper and the character of the Gospel of Hip-Hop, which is really the character of the divine performance. But as you can see up here on screen, these are the 18 principles of the divine performance. Perform God, perform listening, perform study, perform discipline, perform forgiveness, perform patience, perform charity, perform love, perform faith, perform understanding, perform truth, perform skill, perform intelligence, perform communication, perform responsibility, perform action, perform prayer, perform hip-hop. A lot of information in this message from the Minista, my nobility. A lot of information. And if you look back towards the beginning, I talked about like using the divine performance when the storms of life hit, when the seasons of life changed, when the hurts and the betrayals came. It was the giving of the divine performance which created the character. They had those who thought something of me as I stood in my character. They changed their minds and they were like, yo, man, you know, they said this about you and I see that that ain't the truth. It's your character that stands the onslaughts of the devil and the world and evil and good people who do bad things to you at times. But it's your character that remains. It's the character that remains king. And when we have the character of God, when we put God first and we make our decisions based upon what God is showing us and what God is revealing to us, and you really got to know thyself to know God. We talked about setting up an altar. I set that altar up in 2005, and I've sat before it every single day since then. I've had one every single day. I may have been traveling a couple times or, missed a day or two here. But I always have it with me, and I always set it up in hotels, wherever we're at, wherever I go. It's in my room right now. I have an altar set up, and I sit down before it. I like to sit lotus style, and I've sat there before sometimes 10 minutes, 15, 20 minutes at a time, other times 2 or 3 hours. I mean, it's real like that. And God, before God, to alter how I feel about certain things, to come in communion with God. To know and understand and overstand and learn the character of God. Now remember, like even the divine performance, these are the first steps towards that life. Being of good character is the first steps, because when we have those good characteristics, then God starts revealing secrets to us that only God can reveal to us. I think about how many things I want to talk about and say, It's like I can't even reveal some of the things that God's revealed to me, in that it would hurt people or burn them up, or they wouldn't even believe it. There's like these secrets of the universe you learn, and as you grow older, I learned to articulate them better and learn how to disseminate that information into a way that can be spoken, which means I'm still learning the lesson. But these lessons that are being given every week, the only reason I'm able to give one every single week like this is because I've lived this for a long time. I'm at an age now where I know what works and I know what doesn't work. So I'm not going to BS people and give them a bunch of spiritual fluff out there to make $1. That's why it's free. Now, if you would like to make a donation, my PayPal link is below. Please feel free to make a donation. I spend up to 8 hours a week, every week, on these messages from the Minista, sometimes a little more. And every week I do that because this is the fulfillment of my purpose. But if you feel like making a quick donation, feel free. And with that being said, the reason I do this for free is because it's like, I know how much I wish I had this information when I was younger. That's why I always advocate the gospel of hip-hop and read it for every week. I wish I had that kind of knowledge when I was younger. Now, I had great knowledge. I had the Holy Bible, and the character of Jesus has carried me far in life and still carries me. The character of Martin Luther King carries me far. We're not overriding anybody's characters, but also the character of Zen and Taoism, which is very much in alignment with the divine performance. Really, it reminds me, if you read the I Ching over and over, you start seeing those characteristics of the divine performance in the I Ching, or in the Tao Te Ching, or you in the Holy Bible. You see these characteristics, or the teachings of Krishna. You see these characteristics. These are timeless characteristics. And to have them organized in a way that a young man or woman can put into action and start giving a divine performance, your life is only going to get better. We call it the 21-day divine performance challenge. It's 21 days, the affirmation, the I am not afraid affirmation, 3 times at night, once in the morning. There's 18 divine performances, 21 days to do the affirmation. 18 are taken care of by the divine performances. You read the intro on day 1, then day 2 you read divine performance 1, day 3 divine performance number 2, and you just go down the divine performances. Then you read the outro on day 20 and 21, and you have this 21 days where it's called the 21-day divine performance challenge, where you read a different divine performance every day, and you read the intro and outro, and it ends up being about 21 days while you're saying the affirmation, the I am not afraid affirmation. I'll tell you, you do that for the next 21 days at any time of the year, it will act as a propellant, like you're pulling back the boat. It will launch you forward in life. It'll give you some momentum. It'll give you a push towards your purpose. It'll free up some thinking because you've taken the time daily to work on your character and the development of the fundamentals of the character. Everybody's running around with some kind of character. But do they have the fundamentals of what means to be, and really the fundamentals of a spiritual characteristic? Because those spiritual principles, these spiritual characteristics, these are the ones that we take with us when we leave. These are the ones that carry us. They carry the Spirit. So we don't have to keep recycling on earth. Or if we want to go back to earth, it's our decision, not because we have to keep learning the lessons through karma and through I'm saying recycling, but what's the other word? Reincarnation, they call it. But you got to keep coming back to earth, keep making the same mistakes, keep coming back. So if you have sound principles in your life, when you leave this body, you'll be in a certain state of mind, because mind is eternal and the spirit is eternal in the mind. You'll have a certain state of being. These are just words: mind, eternity, spirit. These are words that are describing something real that is felt and known, that doesn't even call itself those words when we leave. But those principles, those characteristics, are what's going to take you to keep growing towards heaven. Or the other direction. The choice is always there at any moment. But to empower our lives, empower those around us, It's our character, the characteristics of us that has to change collectively. We have to change collectively. As a free people, as hippapas, as seeing a new nation, seeing a new civilization, seeing a new city, seeing these things for our children and our children's children forever, our character has to match that of the King. The character has to match that of the divine performance of the Christ, of the hippapa. What is the character of the hippapa? Let it be peace, love, unity, safely having fun, health, love, awareness, and wealth, peace, prosperity. These timeless characteristics, charity, that's the divine performance, charity, being kind to one another, being nice to one another. You know, it says in the Bible that Jesus, when they were hanging him on the cross, that he could have called on the heavenly angels to come and just destroy the Roman Empire at that moment? What refrained him from doing that? I don't know if I could have done it. I'd like to think I could. Man, what a moment. You have the entire angelic realms ready to come to your rescue at one command. And you decide to hang there on the cross with the criminals and die and be sacrificed in front of everybody, bleed out, spit upon, beaten. But he knew there was something deeper about the action. He knew that the divine performance that he was giving was going to carry forward in such a way, the only way. He stood in his character. He stood in his nature. His nature was the Christ. His nature was the Christ. And he stood there in that character and he took it. He probably just left the body and was in a state of ecstasy, or even in pain, because he is the kingdom of heaven. You know, we go through life, and like I said earlier, people was bad-mouthing me, and I wanted to hurt them back. There was a part of me that wanted that revenge and wanted to hurt them back, but it was against my nature. It was against my character, and I'm so glad I didn't participate in their insanity. I didn't participate in their narcissism. I didn't participate in their sociopathy. I didn't participate in it. Because why? Because it was against my nature and my character. So if you're feeling bad about standing up for truth, if you're feeling bad that people is treating you and you're like, man, I could get it. Maybe I should get it. Maybe I should do this and maybe I should get that. No, stay in your character. Stay in the divine performance. Stay in the character of God, in the nature of God. You'll watch. It may not seem like it. It may take months. It may take days. It may take weeks. It may take years. But eventually, all that will be seen, all that will be brought to light is the truth of your being, the truth of your character. When somebody was openly dissing you, disrespecting you, working against you, did you go out and try and hurt that person and work against them? And did you try to destroy them? Or did you stand in your character? I'm not saying don't battle back. I'm not saying don't fight back. I ain't saying turn the other cheek like that. Turn the other cheek means don't start an argument. That's all. Doesn't mean to let somebody just keep beating you up. I'm not advocating being abused here. But when you're up against something like a lie, when you're up against something like disinformation, when you're up against something that is against your character and reputation, stand in your character and reputation. It's trying to tempt you. It's the devil, it's the demons trying to tempt you out of your character, to act out of your nature. Don't do it. Stay centered. Stay at peace. Stay in your nature. Stay in your character, and you will not only survive, you will thrive, because the character of your truth, the truth of your character will be seen. Character is king. This man's character is king. Peace and so much love to you, my nobility. Go forward this week empowered. Know thyself. And there it is. Hip! Character is king.